Hello and welcome to another episode of Life with Shenita. I am Dr. Shenita Connolly, your host this evening, and I will also have a co-host with me this evening, Miss Audrey Bowler Johnson. So we're excited to celebrate men, dads, fathers, stepdads, bonus dads this evening. And so we are delighted that you will join us, whether now or on the replay. So, just a little bit about dads. As I was thinking about celebrating dads, fathers, I was thinking about how much they really matter to us. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for their role in conception. So children really do need their fathers. And I am hoping that by this conversation this evening that we will prick the hearts of some mothers who have not allowed their children to be in their fathers' lives or the fathers to be in their children's lives because they are important. Kids need them just as much as they need their mothers to love them, to be interested in them, to respond to their needs, making them feel valued and understood. Fathers and father figures make a vital contribution to their children's development. What fathers have to offer their children is different from what mothers offer, but it is just as important to the child. The differences between men and women as parents are not laid down for us. Each family discovers them in its own way. Fathers also matter because they are important to their partners. Their parents' relationship is the model of relating their children. Their parents' relationship is the model of relating that children take on board. So the success or failure of their own future relationships will deeply be influenced by how their parents manage things. That is not to say that parents have to be perfect, but it is important for children to see their parents working together to try to sort out the difficulties that every family faces from time to time. With that being said, we have some amazing fathers that will be joining us tonight. And before we bring those amazing men in, I would like to bring in my guest host, Audrey Bowler Johnson, to join me for this amazing conversation. And we want to make sure that we are celebrating these fathers tonight, not only the ones that will join us, but fathers in general, not only during the month of June, but every day. So welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Enjoying another night of Life with Shenita. She's always bringing these amazing topics and conversations, these amazing people with great information to provide and share. So this evening, we're excited to elevate and lift the men for the month of June. We just finished a men's health awareness event in Pensacola, Florida. We know that there are other men health events and health related events that are present going forward the rest of the month. So we want you to definitely engage in those, but we're looking forward to hear what the panelists have to say and share with us. So to sit back, enjoy, and make sure you engage and also send us some questions.
Yes. And, just thinking about the event you just held in Pensacola, I think for the second or third year in a row for men, focused on men's health, because if their health is not good, the role as a father won't be the best it can be for their children. So that was significant and is significant as we journey through life, is to make sure that the men's health is a priority for them.
Absolutely. So yes, the event is a men's health awareness event. Primarily minority men was the highlight of focus, as my platform is healing the hues and minority health and disparities. And so the statistics support that our men are in less health status than other cultures, right? But so my goal was to provide them with resources and an environment that would be welcoming, encouraging, and motivating so that they would engage and connect and enjoy being lifted and celebrated, right? So that's the best way to welcome them in. So we culminate the event with a men's health discussion to allow them an intimate space of sharing and brotherhood and connection, as to hear what their challenges are, what they're going through, why don't they seek health support or healthcare services, are they equipped with resources and connected or have a support system, and so it's really interesting to hear them in this private segment to share their vulnerabilities, right? To share their fears. They shared that they don't know how. A lot of it is, some of it is, I won't say a lot, I will use the term, I want to be selective in my terms, right? Some of it is ego, stereotype of what men are supposed to represent. I'm strong. And there was one gentleman that was actually, he wasn't even in the obesity range and not even mid-age, maybe been early 40s, but he's in bad health, but he hasn't sought health care because he's uninsured. And so he doesn't know what the resources are to tap in. So that's one example. There was a gentleman that shared his depression that he's experiencing. He knows what it is, but doesn't know how to navigate resources to help him work through that. He's a single parent of 3 kids under the age of 16. So he's, by nature and nurture, right? We know that men typically aren't equipped with what's necessary to really assist them in that decision making process, right? And how to multitask, and just those dimensions of what females are constructed with. That's just how we're wired. We're developed, and we were put on earth by God's creation to be that helpmeet, and we have those instincts to move forward. Men have to reach a little deeper to create those environments and learn that balance. So it was just a great event.
It really was.
It just does my heart delight. When I see them engage and smile, we added some elements so they could do father-son portraits, and had a photographer there just exclusively for them to take a portrait. If they haven't had their own photo taken, not a selfie, but an actual photographer that celebrated them in portrait. I just really enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed it as well.
I did. It was well put together, and a lot of energy. The vendors were amazing. The opportunities for them to get, screenings on site was phenomenal. I met some amazing people. And as a matter of fact, we have one of our guests on tonight from that event that he just stood out, and he's a Q, and my friend Paul Burke is a Q. So we have 2 Qs on tonight. I'm really excited about that. Just to see the men in there, and they were serious about their health. Particularly, it's important to me because my husband, on Monday, June 30th, it will be 10 years that he suffered his heart attack. And so this month means a lot to me, not just Father's Day for my father, but, losing my husband to a heart attack that could have been prevented because he took more initiative about his health, and took the advice of his cardiologist previous years. So I was excited to be there, and I was excited that you gave me the opportunity to share a little bit about my platform of getting your house in order, which is near and dear to my heart. So,
and thank you for being the opening testimonial for that discussion, right? So typically, I'm a professional speaker, and I always do speaking engagements. However, at the intro, when my style is storytelling, right, to connect the audience to what the topic is about to be. And so your story, you coming in and being that opener to share what that looked like, it touched on so much between health and wellness, being proactive in your health. Are you prepared with insurance? What does that economic impact look like for the family when those things don't take place, right? And the ripple effect thereof. And just to give them that onus of responsibility to be proactive just by sharing your experience, right? And so I know that that's challenging for you, but you leverage that loss in love to elevate and really motivate others to not have that same experience and situation, right?
Yes.
So I'm definitely interested to move forward with more men's events
Yes.
as we continue to equip them and nurture them and strengthen them in emotions and decision making to understand their relevance, right?
Mhm. So
It's the relevance of a man
yes.
in their presence, right? My
Yes.
father suffered from alcoholism. And so didn't lose him in life, but I mean, lose him in death, but I lost him in life, right? Because of this absence of being able to be engaged and connected and be there. And I was that little girl that longed for daddy for years until death, until he did transition.
Mhm.
But up until then, I still had hope that my daddy, my daddy, my daddy, and men
Mhm.
just really may not identify how impactful and powerful they are, and that we need them to be in good health
Mhm.
and be aware and be actually responsible, right? They need to be financially responsible, right? Health insurance is
That's right.
only how much for per $100,000 a policy. I'm sure you can find $50 or 40 as much as Wendy's cost. I mean, I want to
Right.
call it particular. I'll just say fast food costs. You
Yeah.
know, you set aside 3 meals for the month, and
Mhm.
you position your family to be cared for during those transitional situations, right? So I'm
Yes.
interested to hear from your guest today. We don't want to belabor that, but
Yes.
look for more events and moving forward, especially. I'm definitely looking forward to doing the one with men that are fathers of special needs. That takes a whole
Yes.
different skill set
Yes.
and development emotionally, that EQ, the emotional quotient to develop them in that. So let's celebrate the fathers and celebrate the men
Yes.
and bring them on board.
Yes. So with that being said, let's bring in Mr. Paul Burt. Welcome to
Hello.
the platform, Paul.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. How are you?
I'm well. I when you called me about an hour ago or whatever, I was cleaning up yard work. That uh, my wife's do list. And
Right.
so finally got that done. And so I'm well. I just it's been a good week. Got a lot of things going on. And Tuesday was my birthday. I
Oh,
hit
happy birthday.
73.
Birthday.
All right.
Yeah, and
73.
so that for a person like myself, that resets my year. Okay,
Yes.
so my year is being reset, and looking to accomplish what I have set out to do for the year.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for saying yes on such a short notice. And we're going to have a great conversation once we get all of you men in place. So we have also Mr. Jason Riley from Pensacola, Florida. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how's everybody doing this evening?
Mr.
We are
Riley.
wonderful. How are you?
I cannot complain. Excuse me for not joining sooner, but we had an event with some young kids, and we were discussing the importance of boundaries. So excuse me, but I'm excited to be a part of this that you all are hosting here.
Yes.
Root,
So with
root,
that being
root to
said,
my good brother.
yes.
All right, well, guys, I
So
had to do it. I'm sorry, I had to
that's
do it.
okay. I knew you guys couldn't resist. But before we get started, I would like for you all to introduce yourself and tell us one thing that people would be surprised to know about you. So, Paul, will you start first? Share with the audience who you are and one thing that people would be surprised to know about you.
Well, they call me Jazzy Q, and there's a story behind that. 2016 to 2016, almost into 17, I had a club in McDonough, Georgia called Jazzy Brown's Wine Bar and Jazz Cafe.
And I
Uh,
used to
my
be,
partner, my partner, she was older than me, but everybody that came in thought her husband was Michael Jazzy Brown, and he had Alzheimer's and dementia, so he was in assisted care. And so everybody that came in thought she was my wife, and that didn't go over too well. And she was telling people that I was her husband here at the club at work. So I had to let everybody know that I am not Jazzy Brown, and I said I'm Jazzy Q, and it just stuck because
Okay.
I'm dedicated to, keeping the music alive, jazz alive, and I'm also Southern Christian jazz. Um, they weren't ready for me back in the day, but now they're ready. So we have a lot of exciting programs as far as programming. I'm setting up the Southside Underground. My son came here in '95 to Morehouse from New Jersey, and 4 years later, my daughter came to Clark, and they weren't about to come back to New Jersey. Um, I was as an undergraduate at Rutgers. Um, one of the first courses that I took was the history of jazz, and it was at a campus that they established, Livingston campus at Rutgers University, due to the riots in 1968 in Newark, where they felt, because there was only a 2 to 4% enrollment of blacks and others at the university, being a white university, Rutgers University. So I took that course, and it just changed my life. It was we had Larry Ridley, who was from Indianapolis. He played with some greats. He grew up with Freddie Hubbard, and so he was the head of the department. And they used to have a lecture series, which they would bring in artists from New York, and there were a lot of artists from New York that came to get their undergraduate degrees, and some became professors. But they brought in Randy Weston, Ramsey Lewis, Sonny Rollins, and there's a long story behind that. My roommate at the time was from Jersey City, and he grew up with Kool and the Gang. They went to the same high school. He played with them in a band that they had called the Jersey City Jazzettes. That was Kool and the Gang's prior to them becoming. He decided to come to college. They went on to do what they did. So we were assigned to stay with Sonny Rollins for the afternoon after his lecture till he performed, and that was life changing for me. It was life changing for me. So I'm the oldest of 10, and I told her I had a sister next to me who her name is Audrey, and at the age of 11, I wanted to play an instrument. I wanted to play trumpet, but we couldn't afford a trumpet. So we didn't have 10 at the time, but we couldn't afford a trumpet. So 2 years later, I'm 13. I had a great aunt that was a teacher. She gets me a trumpet. But at that time, I'm 13. I'm in middle school, man. I'm into the sports. So that kind of laid out the foundation for my life. I'm on the board of directors for Henry for Music, in which we get instruments donated, and we do fundraising to refurbish the instruments and get them to foster care kids' hands and kids that need instruments. So that was dear to me because, at 11, wanting to play, not able to have a trumpet, and now being able to provide those kids that, otherwise wouldn't be able to do it. So it's all come full circle for me with Southern Christian Jazz. And, I'm an event planner. So, but most of my things are, I'm in about 4 different locations. Tomorrow night, I will be doing a show at the New Black Wall Street Market in Stonecrest at the Pink Lion Jazz Club. So that's, I could go on and on. So I'm going to stop right here. And, but that's basically what it is. And I spent 25 years of my life in New Jersey coaching Pop Warner football. Had 9 kids that made it to the NFL. 2 were first round picks. So, and the thing about it is my whole staff, they weren't bros, but when they coached with us for a few years, they became bros. And most of our staff were men of Omega. So, and Omega changed my life because I went over in the Newark chapter, city chapter, which it was a intermediate chapter. It was graduates and undergraduates. We didn't have any black fraternities or sororities at the white universities in New Jersey. So I went over in April of 72. And in November of 73, we founded and started Tau Zeta chapter at Rutgers. So I'm very proud of that. And then in 85, founded U Gamma chapter, which is a graduate chapter responsible for Rutgers, and that's in Somerset, New Jersey. And then 2014, when I moved here 2009, in South Atlanta, Metro Atlanta. And there weren't any chapters near me. They were all about 30 miles away. So we formed the chapter in 2014, Henry and Clayton County, here in New Jersey. I mean, in Georgia. So that's a little bit of it. And it really affected.
So that's a lot. I'm sure people will find something that they didn't know about you, because I didn't know you formed a chapter for the Qs on the south side of
Yeah. So I answered your question you were going to ask later. So
yes.
You know, a lot of people didn't know.
Thank you for being here.
Now repeat what event you'll be at on tomorrow. You said the Black Wall Street.
Yes, I have Jody Mayfield. He's a professor at Morris Brown, and he's a maestro. So he's released several albums. He's played at some of the top spots here in Atlanta. But yes, I did the grand opening.
I'll send her the flyer.
Yeah, send her the flyer. Okay. Are you in this area? Are you here in
Atlanta? I'm new to the area. Yes.
Okay, you'll love this place. It's and Bill Allen, he passed away last year. His dream of the new Black Wall Street market is phenomenal. You know.
Okay, I'll share that with her. But thank you so much. So Jason Rowley from Pensacola, met him at the men's awareness event. He stood out as an amazing man, not only in his personal life, but in the community. So Jason, please introduce yourself to the audience and tell something that people would be surprised to know about you.
And I have to say again, thank you, Mr. Rowley, for participating yet again.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm going to get with you because Tim's coming to the shop tomorrow and I need to talk to him about some things. So we'll be getting with you sometime next week.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm Jason Rowley. I'm originally from Pensacola, Florida. I've made it my life working with young people, whether it be out in the community or in his barbershop. One thing about me that people don't know is back in 2015, I used to be a probation officer, and I kind of had a situation with one of the state attorneys about some of the things that they had done, and with the judge, and I became very frustrated. So I took a year off and I went back to school and became a nurse. But 2 years after that, I'm back in the community trying to help these young people, guide them in the right direction.
So you're a nurse. Awesome.
Yes, I don't think I knew that either. So
yes, indeed.
Awesome.
Okay, Mr. Riley.
Yeah. So men. So this show is about celebrating fathers. And Jason.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, you've been with young men today. Tell us about your journey as a father, because you're a father as well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us about your journey in the home and your journey in the community, because you're a father figure in the community to those young men who may not know their dads, or their dads may be incarcerated. Tell us about that, what that looks like and how important it is to not only you, but to them.
Well, I've been married twice. I've been married twice. My first marriage was kind of difficult, and I had a daughter. But luckily, I cut hair, so I was able to talk to people who had gone through a divorce, because I became very frustrated with that whole situation, because, you know, I consider myself a very decent dad. I mean, an exceptional dad, to be honest with you. So, you know, it was a blessing that I was able to cut hair and people were guiding me. Yeah, hold on. Give me a second here. It's just, I try to, being a father and the mistakes that I've made, as well as the success that I've had and doing the things that I've done, I try to, when I interact with young people, I say this all the time, and I think I said it to you, there are a lot of mistakes I made. Mm-hmm. If you listen to me, some of the other people, gentlemen that I work with and A lot of people are supposed to be here within the next hour because, like I said, we had that event. There are a lot of mistakes that we've made that you young people, especially you young fathers, do not have to make if you listen to us. Cutting hair, there's been many a times, like last week, a young man came in and he was very frustrated because he wasn't getting to see his daughter. And I was telling him about this new law in the state of Florida called the Good Fathers Act. So as a father, what I try to do is I try to use my experiences, my knowledge, and whatever I can to try to help other fathers not be so frustrated. And you know, that event that you had last week, because you got a lot of brothers that come into the shop and, you know, they're dealing with anxiety, they're dealing with depression, and they do not want to talk to somebody who does not look like them. But glory be to God, I have experience and I worked in this field, and everybody comes into the barbershop, counselors, clergy, doctors, everybody come into the barbershop. So I'm able to link fathers with people that they can get the help and, you know, get some things that they need.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So your reach as a father doesn't just maintain or stay in a box in the home. It's outside of that boundary of the home.
Yes, ma'am. Most definitely.
And so you talked about the mistakes that you made as a father. Was that only in your first marriage with those children, or that child, or out into the next?
I'm gonna tell you, it glory be to God. My like I said, you know, I have some good frat brothers who kind of reel me in when I'm doing things that might be too much or I might not be doing enough. So, you know, it does. I have a good support system when it comes to being a father. You know, a lot of times we have groups up in here. A lot of men would just come up in here and we'll just talk. We're not cutting hair. We're just talking about our children, how we raise them, the things that are good, the things that are bad. So I take what I need to take to help my children out. Because right now I'm raising, my daughter's 25, and one of my oldest son, he's 14, and the other one is 12. So it's a constant growing process. But glory be to God, I have people around me who make this process easier.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, you know, when you say that 14 and that 12, I have a soon to be 14-year-old granddaughter. And boy, it looks different when they become preteens than it did when they were little bitty kids. So it's challenging. It's almost like you really do need a village and you need help yourself.
Yes, indeed.
You're right. You need a village.
Yeah, so that you don't ruin them, because sometimes I remember the mistakes I made as a mother. And so as fathers, I'm sure you guys think about those mistakes as well. Paul, I'm sure you do too. And you've had to go back to your children and apologize, or go to a parenting class. Paul, you said, no, you don't apologize.
No. I'm gonna tell you something. This and it's true story. When he went down in '95, he came down to Morehouse. And it didn't really hit him until after. And then my grandson is 22, so he had him. And one of the most rewarding things you're going to hear from a son is that, Dad, you know, you were right. You know, now I understand. I mean, just those little things that erases all the things that you had to do. And I had to make decisions for him. There was a program at Rutgers. And he didn't want to go because, you know, it'd be nerds, but they took all the top high school students and they were on the campus. He went up there, got a girlfriend, met people he's had for life, and it changed his life. And he fought every tooth and nail not to want to go. So, you know, that was a lesson that he learned. And, you know, with other kids too. The thing is that you have so many kids that when I was coaching it, I found that we're in a single family household. So we as brothers and coaches, we were the surrogate fathers. Like I said, my birthday was Tuesday, 73, and I got a lot of love from the kids that I coached, and they don't even know, half of them don't even know my name. They know me as Coach Burt, and so that's beautiful. And I see their kids graduating, some graduating from college. So it's you never really regret if you're, you know. If you believe in faith in God and you're trying to instill those things in your kids, you're trying to instill to make them good people. So you basically have to be that guiding light. And you have to teach these kids that to get respect, you must give respect.
Right.
So yeah, so it's no, I don't regret it now. And what I do, and what's funny is with my son has 3 kids, a grandson 22, my granddaughter's 19, and the youngest one is 12. So I watched what he's dealing with, and we sit and we talk. I said, okay, and he's understanding that a boy is so much, because my daughter, she's completely different. A boy is so much different than a girl. A boy's going to take all 3 strikes. Okay, a girl, she'll take that one, maybe 2, but and then she would look at her brothers and say, "He's stupid. I wouldn't do that." So it's to get back to it. Nah, I don't really regret. In this life, you have to be hard on them. You really have to be hard on them, and and show that love. And then, like I said, as they get of age and they understand the love that you poured in and sacrifices you made.
Yeah.
Well,
One of
I
the
have a
things.
hard,
Go ahead, Audrey.
Yes.
I have some hard questions to ask these two gentlemen
Mhm.
about fatherhood and nurturing those in the community, which I hear both of you have done and both of you do. What actions do you see can be taken to develop men to be better fathers or be engaged fathers, or what are those barriers that have disseminated our community from the presence and the reverence of fatherhood?
Yes.
Well, you
Well,
want to take
I'll
that?
say, well, bro, let me digress. You the older bro, you go first, bro.
No, no, no. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Bro, I don't
I,
want no
I had
trouble.
I had my say. There's no trouble at all. It's
Go
much
ahead,
love.
Jason.
Well, I would say knowledge,
Okay.
knowledge about the things that are out there for them, knowledge about information that they can get from people that have gone through things. Um, and this is just the small area that I'm in, because I know a lot of young brothers that come into this barbershop, they get frustrated being fathers, because like I said, they're not getting the time that they want with their children. So when you have people like myself and some other gentlemen that have gone through divorce, and the information that we can give them, especially with these good fathers out there, I mean it is helping. But to answer your question, knowledge, and then not giving up, because anybody who's gone through a divorce and you have a child, it gets ugly. And I know the men that come in here that have had to deal with a divorce, is like, man, I don't even want that environment around my child. So a lot of times they'll step back when they really need to be stepping forward and fighting tooth and nail to spend time with their child.
Mhm. Can I pause us 1 minute? I have another gentleman to bring in, and then you can continue. Wendell Hollins is another amazing father as well. So let's welcome him to the platform. Good evening, Wendell.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you slightly. Your volume is down, but if you would allow Jason to finish his comment, we'll get back to you in just a minute.
Oh
Jason?
no, I was finished, ma'am. I was finished. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Paul, you wanted to add to that?
Well, yes, knowledge is very, very important. And it was really funny. My youngest grandson, he must have been about 8. I asked him a question or something, like he said, "Papa, Google it." So that's one tool that a lot of times I'll direct the kid to. If you're really serious, Google it. There's, for certain directions, but on knowledge, and in my case, wisdom, and sharing that wisdom of a lifetime. These kids, as a lot of them, they can't see past their 20s. They're up in the cloud. There's so much going on that they're dealing with, interacting with, online stuff, and information. And the one thing that I really appreciate hearing is about a barbershop. There's another thing where in the community, the men don't have the money or the time to be going to see a therapist and those types of things. The one thing that you have at barbershops, cigar spots, that I go to, is you have older men that have gone through it, and you're sitting there and the younger men are listening and asking questions. And, so that's our therapy. And I think that we need to get more of that. One of the things that has, well, it's just a pet peeve for me is that the women, and Shenita, you're out here doing so much, and the women are kicking our behinds. They're out here promoting themselves, promoting businesses. They're out here doing a lot of things, and the men are out here, but we're in different organizations. I'm in Omega Sci-Fi. I'm in a couple of other mentoring groups and other mentoring groups, and we're all doing the same thing, but we're not doing enough. And the way that we do it is that we need to start having conferences. We need to start meeting as these groups, 100 Black men, all of these other mentoring groups, and talk about what we can do, because we can do much more together, as a group. And see what's going on out here now. A lot of these kids, my grandkids grew up seeing a Black man in the White House. All right. Now they all know what's going on. They see what's going on. They hear it from us. And people right now need uplift. That's one of our cardinal principles, uplift. The way we do that is that we have conferences. I do music. So my whole thing is edutainment, educating them through music, through festivals. You get them in a festival, and you help support Black business by have vendors coming, by people with selling their products. We need more of that. When I grew up, I'm a 50s baby, but growing up in the 60s, we had a thing called Harambe, and it was our one festival during the year in Springfield, Mass, where we would get people from Hartford. We get a lot of people that came in, local bands, basketball tournament. That was the thing that we looked for. My grandmother had a restaurant, so she would be out there cooking. And these are the types of things that we need to do more of, especially in this time that we are living in.
Okay, thank you both for very, very much for answering those questions. And so I'll definitely plant a seed a little later before we change directions on the conversation of topics. So thank you for addressing the challenges of fatherhood that our men are experiencing and identifying what opportunities we have. And so there is a fatherhood initiative project that is funded by the government. And so we do have opportunity to leverage that, as well as you two great men of Omega Sci-Fi. You have Brother You're on My Mind initiative, and that can be absolutely elevated in your community. So I look forward to connecting with both of you afterwards. And I know Shenita's going to bring on our additional guests. Thank you very much.
So, Wendell, we can't hear you. I'm not sure why. We can't hear him. Yeah, we can't hear him.
He needs to unmute.
No, he's unmuted. I'm not sure what's going on, but we can't hear him. So once we get to a place where he can get his phone working, because we can't hear him. But one of the things I want to ask.
Is it better now?
There. Okay.
That's a little better.
All right, I'll talk louder.
Okay.
So can you briefly introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and one thing people would be surprised to know about you, Wendell?
Okay, repeat the three again.
Would you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes.
And tell them one thing people would be surprised to know about you?
All right, I am and always will be Wendell Limitless Hollins, married to the beautiful Denise Marie Warner. We got 5 kids and 8 grandkids and great parents. My business overall is Limitless Hollins LLC. So what I'm doing now is doing commercials for upscale restaurants. FineDiningDevotees.com is being the.
We can't hear you, Wendell.
Just went out.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Wendell, we can't hear you. Okay, so with that being said,
I think you'll have to parking lot him and just send him a message. All right.
So with that being said, what are one of the things that Wendell, we can't hear you We can't hear you, unfortunately. I'm not sure what's going on there. One of the things that I think about often is absent fathers, right? I got married right out of high school and I was disobedient to my parents. And me and my husband were 17 and 18 years old and had 3 children. After the 3rd baby was born, he decided he didn't want to be married anymore. So that meant a single mother raising 3 children. My son is incarcerated right now, has 3 years to go to come home. It's been a long journey, and the kids suffered as a result of, and sometimes we have to take ownership. And so I'm leading into, at what point as a man, I know it took me a few years to accept my responsibility in the journey or the path that I'm on because of disobedience. So as men, how important is it for you all to say, I probably should have made a different decision on this journey of fatherhood that could have a negative impact on your children? How often do you think men, or how easy or hard is it for you all to look in the mirror and say, I probably should have done things differently?
Crickets. That's a very heavy question, because the one thing that I learned at an early age, being the oldest of 10, and my father, he was a police officer in Springfield. There was a class of 4 blacks. He was one of the first four black policemen in Springfield. So in the 60s, I grew up, quote unquote, son of a pig. Okay. And being the oldest of 10, the 7 sisters, it was, it was kind of tough. I had to set the example. And my mother being from Alabama, my grandmother being from Alabama, and coming up when she was about 14, 15 to Massachusetts, that presence was in the house about being, stepping up to the plate and doing that. So sometimes I regret the fact that I had to always do that, had to be the example, had to be good, could screw up because the rest would screw up. Then having the weight of always fighting or running for my life, because of either my father had arrested someone and their brother, and they had a gang and that type of thing. But I learned how to navigate. And then I had an opportunity to go to a boarding school. Okay, my mother was she used to clean houses, and she in the suburbs, where she had a woman that had a nephew that was at a boarding school, and she used to always talk about me. Oh, my son is smart and getting grades. I knew I couldn't come in with less than a B. I might get my behind whooped, that type of situation. And that's just how it was, so the thing is, it took me a long time to really find me. Okay. And that was life-changing for me. So the decision is that you need to know who you are, and you need to stay true to that course. Like I told you, you're having your affair on October 5th, and my 50th wedding anniversary is October 4th.
That's amazing.
And it hasn't been easy, but it's been fulfilling. It's really been fulfilling.
That's so less than 50 years of marriage.
What I would say to any man, and I tell them all the time, first of all, you have to be true to yourself. Okay. In order to be able to, and love thyself, in order to be able to love and bring love to others. That's the key. And of course, your faith has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Awesome.
So Jason, I have a question for Jason. So because you're in the barbershop, so you guys hear a lot more intimate conversation, a lot more granular frustrations of a man in fatherhood. What are some of those frustrations that men experience through fatherhood, and how do they elevate or leverage and get out of the rut of not measuring up to the stereotype or expectation? And
Yes, ma'am. I'm this is real quick. This is my one of my business partners right here, Mr. Farad Wallace. He was at the event last year.
yes, he was. Thank you.
And I'll let him touch on that first, and then I'll go behind him if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, the first thing I would say is from a personal experience, I think that if our community could understand that fathers are human beings too, and that fathers do have feelings, and that those feelings should be respected. We love our children just as much as the mothers. I do understand mothers are irreplaceable, but so are fathers. And fatherhood is important, especially in this community, and it needs to be respected as such. I believe of most of the brothers that I know feel somewhat like I do. At times, it seems like this community disrespects the importance of fatherhood. To be labeled a deadbeat, as if that is factual information, which, from what I understand, the studies show that Black men spend more time with their children than any other ethnicity in this country. That needs to be respected. Even if we're out of the, not in the same household, to be labeled a single mother when the father is
right there
in that child's life, it's disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost to say, I'm a single father when I have my child. It just wouldn't be true.
When you go, think your connection is unstable. But what I was going to say is sometimes it goes back to the question that I was asking earlier. Do we take a look in the mirror at the decisions we make to link up with certain people, whether male or female, and have those children, and then later on we regret that we connected with this person or that person? Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
But even though we do connect with the wrong people, doesn't mean that we still can't be effective parents. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying sometimes we have to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I messed up with this one.
Yeah, but that's where a lot of the frustration comes from in this barbershop, because if that relationship doesn't work, there are mechanisms out there that's going to help the woman. And fathers have so many different obstacles, whether they're legal, social, or emotional, to spend time with that child. And then, I mean, to further add on what Brother Farrar was talking about, then you hear so much. I don't know what it is, but this is just what I hear from people coming into this shop. So many people want to hear something negative about a Black father. They're not even willing to listen to the truth. And I'm baffled by that, because you can have several fathers come in here, and it's like, man, this person can lie on me, and before the police listen to the truth, I'm in handcuffs. Man, my name is getting slandered out here in the church, and they know I'm a good person, but because she said something crazy about me, these people are believing this mess. So Black fathers are not respected in the manner that we need to be respected at all.
And if I could touch on what you said, sister, earlier, yes, I think you are correct. And that's what I tell. I mentor several youth in their teenage years, and that's one of the main things I tell them. You got to be choiceful. You got to be purposeful with every choice that you make. I wouldn't change anything because I have my children. I love my children. But I think that you are correct. We do need to be more conscious on who we choose to have a family with. And we should put, I believe, marriage before we start having families. But I would say what my grandfather have said, children have been having children since the beginning of time. And that's going to happen. How do we deal with it from there? That's the question, because it's going to happen.
Right.
I think we should have set good examples as elders in the communities, how we talk to each other, how we communicate with each other,
Interact with each other.
and interact with each other. Yes, yes.
There are a lot of uncomfortable conversations that need to happen in the household that are not happening at all. There are a lot of uncomfortable conversations need to happen at church with just men in that church that are not happening.
Right. And you're absolutely right. There's a way to have those conversations and not be fired up per se. And even in the homes, I just had a conversation with a family member today, and I said, I always encourage the wives, when you have to have a difficult conversation with your partner, your spouse, your husband, hold his hand and be gentle with the delivery. Because at the end of the day, we want it to be received.
Beautiful.
And if we go off on them aggressively, unlovingly, it is not going to be received. And so we have to be very mindful of how we deliver whatever the messages are, particularly from male to female relationships, whether they're your children's mom or dad, spouses, girlfriends, parents. We have to be more conscious about how we deliver whatever it is that we want to get across to someone so that it is received. Because it means nothing if you barking and there's nothing accomplished but barking back at you. So we have to be very mindful.
I definitely feel that more community men events, such as the one I hosted, example, and the one you spoke about Harambe, right? And you should have 3-on-3 basketball shoot-offs, in different cities, etc. But those community events, more than once a year, need to take place, right? As you build up that manhood. I feel that, and I'm a boy mom, so I have sons, but I absolutely do connect and reverence and identify the breakdown and the disrespect that our men receive, right? And how that damages their cloth, right? And then they just kind of shy away and pull away and then go away, right? So it kind of happens like progressively in that order. So I don't think it was the wrong person that you connected with, because at some point there was love and there was attraction, right? It just went the wrong way. I won't say it was the wrong person, but we tend to reposition that thing and it was the wrong person. No, it's not the wrong person.
Yeah, it was the wrong person for me.
It just went the wrong way.
It was the wrong person. Yes.
But
I think that
it was the wrong person.
So to point, but I think, the unifying of men and those conversations, I was disappointed when I wouldn't see men and women in men's barbershop. Like, that's y'all's sacred space. But we just want to penetrate because we got so much to say and we want to control our men and boy men them. But you understand, like, no, like that, allow men to be men. And there's different communities that do a better job at that. There's smaller communities, you'll see the elevation of men, different cultures. They have men that absolutely carry themselves in a heavily manly way. And it is regarded and is respected, but he manages himself in a king's way. And
absolutely.
So I think you're right. It goes back to all the things that all of you have said and shared about knowledge, connection, exposure, and events that we can turn this ship around, per se, like the Harambe and things of that nature, right? Because we need to get a handle on this. So it's great that Mr. Riley and Mr. Wallace are working with the teens, because you can turn the generations around. We can't really probably say the man that's already 50, 60 years old in his fatherhood, because his fathering season has surpassed. He will always be a father, but he is not fathering, right? And so the fatherhood actually starts during the younger age, and that's where the impact and the imprint matters. So I just wanted to share that. So, but I still celebrate you all, and
Yes.
and I'm
Yeah,
enjoying hearing where you come from. It's Rogers. Do we have you on sound now, sir? I hope so.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
yes.
Much better. Thank
Yes.
you.
Welcome.
Yes. You have 2 minutes, sir, as we prepare to close out. I'm glad you were able to finally get a connection. So can you quickly share who you are, and just something about your fatherhood journey? Because I want you guys to go really quickly and say what has been most rewarding on this journey as fathers. So really quickly, can you do that, Wendell?
I am and always will be Wendell Limitless Hollins, proud husband of Denise Marie Warner. We have 5 kids and 8 grandkids and a whole lot of love. What I'm doing now, I have a company called Limitless Hollins LLC where I do voice activities over different genres. I have a sub company called Fine Dining Devotees I'm developing now to target upscale restaurants. So, you need a restaurant review? I'm your guy. Shenita, thank you for being an outstanding individual, pulling men together. One thing about me, I encourage men to talk. I had prostate cancer twice, as Denise will share with you, and that encouraged men to get checked because prostate cancer shows up. By the time it shows up, it's been in your body a long time. Both times, mine were discovered doing my annual physical. So that's the thing that people might not know about me. But I have my podcast. We got all those. Stay tuned, man. I may recruit y'all to the Qs to help me out. Spread the word about prostate cancer awareness and getting checked. Back to you, Shenita.
Thank you. Thank you. So, men, get your prostates checked. My oldest brother, David, went in for prostate cancer surgery in March of 2021 and died within a week of that surgery. So, please make that a priority, for not only yourself, but for those who rely on you, and particularly your children. So, with that being said, men, tell me one thing that has been most rewarding for you as a father on this journey.
Let's start.
Roger?
All right. Oh, go ahead.
Roger? Bert, Paul, go ahead. They may.
Well, number one, I'm a prostate cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2007, had surgery beginning of 2008, and and moved down here to Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, in 2009. So that had a major influence on my life to want to come and be with my kids and my grandchildren. I would have to say that the most rewarding thing for me is that I raised 2 children, adults now. My son is 48, my daughter's 44, that are well respected, that love deacons, deaconessy. My son is a councilman in McDonough. My daughter is a supervisor in education, and she met her husband freshman year at Clark Atlanta, and now he's a major with our Henry County Police and runs the precinct in McDonough. So I never saw this stuff happening, but I have. They've given me and my wife we've been together 53 years, married. October 4th will be 50 years. So it's a big time in my life, and I'm gonna tell you that it hadn't been easy, but she had my back, I had her back, and we raised our kids, and now we have their back by helping to raise our grandchildren, which is a whole different story because like I told you in the beginning, another thing that was rewarding is that day that my son came to me and said, "Dad, I appreciate what you did and everything. I understand now," when he had his first child. So that was one of the most, that's it. And that's what I live for right now. Be able to watch them, to be able to, oh, and Shanita, you made a point that we need to talk about, or just a phrase, is how you approach a person, how you approach your spouse when you're talking. As a coach, we would have fathers that had come out there, and I had some fathers that were on staff, and they would be talking to their kids, and the kids wouldn't listen because they're criticizing you. So I would tell them, leave them alone, and then we talk to them because they tend to listen, okay, to somebody outside of the family that's nagging them, the parents. So I think that that's very important, is the way you approach someone.
Thank you so much, Paul. Gentlemen?
I want to start, brother.
Go ahead, bro.
I'll say one of the greatest rewards that I have is I just recently came down from Miami with my daughter, and we did her debutante, and we had a daddy-daughter dance, and man, it was something special. Matter of fact, my daughter will be in Atlanta come this fall. She's going to Spelman. Got a full ride.
Awesome.
All right.
I'm super proud.
Oh, that's awesome right there.
Oh yeah.
I actually have a friend whose daughter is there. She's a junior, and we need to introduce them.
Yes. Oh, and that's another thing. My daughter is coming in as a junior.
Oh,
she actually graduated high school and junior college and got an AA at the same time.
I love
it. Yeah. So I'm proud of that.
Oh yes.
Son, he's up in New York, and I forget what it's called, but he's the one that goes in and he tastes wine, and he can tell you whether it's good or it's not. He can break you or make you if you got a new wine that you got coming out.
Oh, I love it.
Very proud of him on that one. And so with that, I would agree with Elder that spoke before me. Just seeing your children become fulfilling, successful human beings, and to be proud in their own right, and to know who they are and what they come from and who their people are. Mm-hmm. I have a sense of pride when I talk about my children, just like the elder does, and does me good service that my children are exceeding me with the accomplishments that they're doing as they live their life right now. So that's the most proud that I am as a father.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Jason?
Well, my father graduated high school, and that's all that he had. But he might have been one of the smartest men that I know. My father raised us he said, had a slogan: I just need you to get you to the point where you can take care of yourself. And as I'm raising my children, and I have to say my daughter because she's the oldest, I see her getting it in all aspects about life, whether it's dealing with people, finances, taking care of herself. She's getting it. And I don't worry about her because I see her getting this thing called life. I see it. I see her making decisions that I didn't make until I was 40 that she's making at 24. So I'm not worried about her. And my other two children, Braden and Jace, one's in the IB program and the other one is headed there. And they're respectful. They have a work ethic. And I'm just proud of them because any environment I drop those young men off, and don't get it twisted, when they're at home, I got to hold on because they're trying to tell some stuff. But if they're not with me, they act like I'm right there. Mm-hmm. So they're black boys. So I love that because, they're getting it. And I know for a fact with how they're doing their academics and how their work ethic that they have, they're going to exceed everything that I do. And they're soaking up so much now that I'm like, man, look, hey, I know y'all are going to get it. I'm going to say this real quick. I just built my first house by myself where I subbed it out. And Brother Farrar stopped me from
Congratulations.
He stopped me from killing a couple people. And my oldest, he's 14. He's in the 10th grade. And I told my wife, I said, we have 3 years. And he already understands the plan that we're going to have for him. He knows we're going to build him a quadruplex, and that's going to be his foundation to take off on this thing called life. And him and his brother both get it. So
I love it.
And I didn't even get emotional.
Yes, you did that. Wendell, is there anything you want to say before I close out?
Yeah, just real quick. What makes me proud as a father and also as a grandfather is fulfilling my purpose in life. My purpose is to leave a legacy for the next 2 generations of Black Americans by January 11, 2020. too, to serve that anniversary when I authorized the hospital to take my mother off of life support. So I just want to encourage everybody to find their purpose, fulfill your purpose, fail early, fail often, be publicly embarrassed. Those three things are keys to success. I am and always will be. That's all.
Thank you. So, men, I want to celebrate you. I want to thank you for being the incredible men you are, not just to the community, but most importantly to your family, to your seed, and to everyone that you come in encounter with. Thank you for being a part of tonight's broadcast. I don't think we elevate and celebrate men enough. And it is very important to me because my father was a third grade educated, smart man too.
Amen.
And I think he would be most proud of all of his children if him and my mother were still living. But we were grateful to have great providing parents, loving parents, nurturing parents. And I'm grateful for that journey. And so to you all, as well as all the men out there, I salute you. I celebrate you. Audrey, do you want to share any closing words with them?
Yes, congratulations to all of you for being successful in your fatherhood. And that is awesome that you're continuing to try to make that same imprint and influence on those that are also walking that path and that journey by being an example and an influencer. So this speaks volumes, and it's very important to healing our communities. So thank you for your participation, and thank you for sharing. And look forward to and having other activities with you.
Yes, and Pensacola rocks.
Yes.
So please stay in touch with us in terms of connecting with your daughter who's coming here.
Okay.
We would love to be a part of her support team.
I sure will. I can get your information from Mr. Riley. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
So thank you, gentlemen, and you guys have an amazing rest of the evening.
You too. You
And
too.
you all
Thank
be
you.
blessed, careful, and safe.
Thank you.
Rose.
Hold tight, man, for 1 minute.
Yeah.